My name is Ivy Reed. I am 26 years old. I live alone in a small rented room in Westbridge City. The streets are always busy and people walk fast, but my room is quiet. 2 months ago, I lost my job at a small travel office. The office had problems and they had to close. I did not expect it, and I did not have a plan. Each morning I woke up early and sat in front of my old laptop. I sent many job applications, but no one wrote back. My savings slowly went down. I bought only simple food. My bills were waiting for me, and my rent day grew close. I felt tired and worried. I did not know how long I could stay in the city. One rainy evening, my best friend Nina came to visit me. She brought a small box of donuts and smiled at me. I could see worry in her eyes. She asked me what was wrong, and I told her everything. I told her how I could not find work and how I did not have enough money to stay in my room. Nina listened to me with care. Then she told me something that surprised me. She said some people could not have children, so they searched for women who could carry a baby for them. She said it was called surrogacy. She told me it was legal and private, and the payment was very high. I stared at her and asked if this was real. She said yes. She said it could help me pay my rent and give me time to start again. That night, I could not sleep. I thought about her words again and again. I did not want to do something strange, but I also did not want to lose my home. I wanted a chance to build a better life. In the morning, I opened my laptop and searched online. I saw one private offer that said the payment was $500,000. The number looked unreal to me. My hands felt warm and my face felt hot. I knew this money could change everything for me. I could pay my debts and start the small coffee place I always dreamed about. I read the ad again. It said the woman must live in the house for the whole pregnancy. It said the woman must follow health rules. It said the agreement must stay private. I felt unsure, but I also felt pushed by fear of my future. The next day, I decided to visit the address written in the ad. The house was large and white, and it stood near the edge of the city. My hands shook when I rang the bell. A man opened the door. His hair was dark, and his face looked calm but serious. His name was Joel Hart. He said my name in a quiet voice, as if he already knew me. He invited me in. The house was bright and clean, and it smelled like flowers. Joel spoke in slow and clear sentences. He said the agreement was a business deal. There would be no personal connection. After the baby was born, I would leave. There would be no contact after that. I would live in his house for 9 months. I would not use my phone. I would not have visitors. He said it was done this way to keep things private. Then he placed a contract on the table. I looked at it, but I did not read every line. My head felt full, and my thoughts moved too fast. I only knew that I needed the money. My hand shook as I signed my name. When I looked up, Joel thanked me with a short nod. It felt strange, but I told myself it was only work. My 9 months began that day. Living in Joel's house felt calm, but also a little lonely. Each morning a doctor came to check my health. I ate healthy food and rested a lot. I did not go outside. I did not speak to anyone except the doctor and Joel. He worked many hours in his office. He often stayed quiet when we met, but his voice was gentle when he spoke. One evening, I walked to the living room and saw him sitting alone. His face looked tired, and his eyes rested on the floor. He told me I could sit if I wanted. I sat on the other end of the couch. We stayed quiet for a moment. Then he began to talk. His words were slow and soft. He told me that his wife passed away 2 years ago in an accident. She had been pregnant at that time. His voice broke a little when he spoke about her. He said he wanted a family again, but he did not know how to move forward. I listened to him and felt warm tears in my eyes, though I did not let them fall. I understood a little more about the quiet in the house and the sadness behind his eyes. After that night, things felt different, even if we did not talk about it. Joel spoke to me more often. Sometimes we talked about books. Sometimes we talked about the weather or the trees outside. He even made tea for me once. When he smiled, his face looked softer. I felt more relaxed around him. One afternoon, we sat in the garden. The sun felt warm on my shoulders, and the air smelled like fresh leaves. Joel asked me if I had thought about names for the baby. My heart beat faster when he asked. I told him I liked the name Leo for a boy and Ella for a girl. He wrote the names in a small notebook he kept in his pocket. I watched him write, and I felt a quiet warmth inside me. I knew I should not feel that way. The agreement said there should be no emotional connection, but feelings grow even when we try to stop them. One morning, a loud knock came at the door. Joel opened it, and a woman stood outside. She wore a bright red coat and looked very beautiful. Her eyes held anger. She asked him who I was. Joel said I was the surrogate. Later, I learned she was his former fiancé. She looked at me with disbelief and then looked back at Joel. She asked him how this could help him move forward. Her voice shook with pain. Then she walked away without waiting for an answer. After she left, I felt small. I went to my room and sat quietly on the bed. Joel did not say much that evening. He only said she did not matter. I looked at him and asked in a soft voice if I mattered. He did not answer. He only turned and walked away. I stayed in my room for a long time, trying to understand why his silence hurt so much. I knew I should not expect kindness. I knew this was only a business deal. But day by day, it felt harder to forget his voice, his stories, and the small smiles he gave me in the garden. I did not know where this path would lead, but I felt the weight of each new day. And this was only the beginning. Before I continue rest of the story, please like, subscribe, share, and tell me where you are listening from. Your support means a lot to me. Now let's continue. The days in the house passed slowly, and each day felt almost the same. I woke up early, ate the breakfast the doctor approved, and stayed inside the house. I tried to stay calm and follow the rules. It was not easy, but I told myself I agreed to this. I wanted the money, and this was the only way to get it. Still, the house felt more and more quiet. I heard only small sounds from the kitchen or the doctor's steps in the hall. Sometimes I heard Joel walking to his office, but he stayed behind the door for many hours. I often wondered what he did inside. I did not ask, because this was not my home. One afternoon, I sat near the window and looked at the trees outside. The sunlight touched the grass, and the warm color made me feel relaxed for a moment. Then I heard footsteps behind me. It was Joel. He stood a few feet away and looked at the view with me. He said the light looked nice. His voice was soft and calm. For a moment, the room did not feel so large. We talked a little about the weather and about the plants in the garden. The talk was simple, but it felt warm. After that day, he came out of his office more often. He asked if I felt well or if I needed anything. Sometimes he brought me fruit. Sometimes he asked if I wanted to sit in the garden for a few minutes. The moments were small, but they stayed in my mind. I tried not to read too much into them. I reminded myself this was still a job, but it felt harder each day to think only about the agreement. One evening, while I was in the kitchen pouring water into a glass, Joel walked in. He looked tired, but he also looked like he wanted to talk. He asked if I slept well. I said yes. Then he asked if I felt lonely in the house. His question surprised me because he usually kept things simple. I told him the house was quiet but safe. He gave a small smile, then looked down at the table. He seemed deep in thought, but he did not tell me why. Later that night, I lay in bed and tried to fall asleep. I kept thinking about his question. I wondered if he felt lonely too. His house felt large, but maybe it felt empty to him. I remembered the story about his wife. I did not know her, but when he spoke about her, I felt the pain he still carried. The next morning, the doctor checked my blood pressure and said everything looked good. After the doctor left, I walked to the living room. Joel was there with a cup of coffee in his hand. He asked if I wanted to sit for a moment. I sat across from him. He looked at the floor for a few seconds, then said he wanted to ask me something personal. His voice was steady, but his eyes looked unsure. He asked why I agreed to this work. I told him the truth. I said I lost my job and I could not pay my bills. I said I needed a new start, and I did not know how to get it. He listened to me with full attention. When I finished, he did not speak right away. He looked like he was trying to understand every word. He thanked me for telling him. His face looked softer, and I felt a warm feeling in my chest, but I pushed it down. I told myself it was only a normal reaction to someone listening with care. Days passed, and the small feelings grew stronger. I did not want them to grow. I tried to stay busy with simple things like reading or walking slowly inside the halls, but the quiet made every feeling louder. One afternoon, I went to clean the dining room table. I liked cleaning because it helped me feel useful. While I wiped the surface, I heard Joel walk in. He said I did not need to clean, but I told him I wanted to do something. He looked at me for a moment and said he understood. Then he sat down nearby and watched the light on the table. He looked thoughtful again. I wanted to ask him what he was thinking about, but I stopped myself. It was not my place. Still, the silence felt full, as if both of us were thinking about things we did not want to say. A few days later, my rest hours felt long. I lay on the couch and held a pillow near my stomach. I felt a small movement inside me. It was not strong yet, but it was clear. I placed my hand there and smiled. It felt like a tiny reminder that life was growing inside me. I wondered what Joel would say if he knew. I wondered if he still wrote names in his notebook. I did not tell him about the movement. I did not want to feel closer to him by mistake, but it stayed on my mind all night. The next week, the house grew more tense. I often felt Joel watching me from the other room. Not in a strange way, but in a careful way, as if he wanted to say something but held it back. I also felt nervous. It was hard to stay calm when the air in the house felt full of unspoken thoughts. One evening, rain hit the windows. The sound was soft, but steady. I sat near the window and watched the drops fall. Joel came into the room and stood beside me. He said he liked the sound of rain. I said I liked it too. He stayed there for a moment, then asked if the house felt safe for me. I said yes. Then he asked if I felt pressure here. His question felt heavy, and I wondered if he was asking something deeper. I said I felt fine and thanked him for asking. He looked at me with a gentle expression. It felt warm, and it made it hard to breathe for a moment. I turned my eyes back to the window. Later that night, I walked past his study. The door was half open, and I heard him talking quietly on the phone. I heard him say my name. His voice sounded firm, but I could not hear the words clearly. I stepped away quickly. I did not want to listen to something that was not meant for me. Still, I wondered who he called and why he talked about me. The next morning, he seemed distant again. He said good morning, but did not look at me long. He stayed in his office for most of the day. I tried to stay calm, but worry grew in my mind. I did not want trouble. I did not want to lose this place or this chance. By evening, he came out of his office. He told me the baby's future was very important, and he hoped I understood the rules clearly. His tone was polite but serious. I said I followed every rule. He nodded, but he still looked tense. That night, sleep was hard to find. The house felt colder. I felt unsure about the next day. I did not know why his words felt different, but they stayed in my mind. I wanted to believe everything was fine, but the quiet in the house told me something else. And deep inside, I knew the months ahead would not stay calm. The house stayed quiet for the next few days. Joel spoke to me, but his words were short. He asked simple things like whether I slept well or if I needed more food. His kindness from before felt far away now. I tried to stay calm, but I felt unsure. I did not know why the change happened, and I did not know how to ask. The baby grew stronger inside me. One morning, when I sat on the couch, I felt a clear movement. It was not small like before. It felt steady. I placed my hand on my stomach and waited. There was another movement. I smiled. I wished someone could share the moment, but I was alone in the room. Later that day, Joel told me he had to go out for a few hours. When he left, the house felt even more still. I walked from room to room, trying to stay busy. I cleaned the shelves and wiped the kitchen table. Then I went to his study to dust the top of a bookshelf. When I moved a book, I saw something behind it. It was a small picture frame. When I pulled it out, my breath went still. The picture showed me, but it was from years ago. My hair was different. My clothes were different. It was taken long before I met Joel. My hand shook as I held it. I did not understand how he found it or why he kept it. When Joel came home, I waited for him in the hall. I held the picture in my hand. He looked at the frame and stopped walking. His face changed. I asked him why he had it and how he got it. My voice was calm, but my heart felt tight. He said he needed to be sure I was a safe person. He said he wanted to protect the baby. He said he checked my past before I moved in. His words were soft, but they hurt. I felt like a product that someone tested, not a person who made a hard choice. I told him I needed space. I walked to my room, packed my small bag, and left the house. He did not try to stop me. The streets outside felt wide and cold. I called Nina, and she told me to come to her place. When I reached her home, she hugged me. I cried without speaking at first. She let me sit on her couch until my breathing slowed. I stayed with her for days. My stomach grew rounder. My steps grew slower. One morning, as I sat near her window, I felt the baby move again. The movement was warm and steady, and it made me smile through tears. I wished Joel could feel it too, but I pushed the thought away. 2 weeks passed. Then one afternoon, someone knocked on the door. When I opened it, Joel stood there. He held a small bouquet of lilies. His face looked tired, and his eyes looked gentle. He asked if he could speak with me. I felt nervous, but stepped aside. He said he made a mistake. He said the house rules and the distance were not the real problem. He said he cared for me more than he expected. His voice was quiet, and he looked at the floor. Then he said he wanted me to come back, not only for the baby, but because he wanted a family with me. I listened in silence. I felt warm, but also afraid. I asked if he meant it. He looked up and said yes. He said he wanted a real home, not just a contract. I stepped closer and said yes too. I told him I would come back. His shoulders relaxed and his eyes softened. Nina watched from the kitchen and smiled at me. I felt calm for the first time in weeks. When Joel and I walked outside together, the air felt gentle. I placed my hand on my stomach and felt a soft movement. This time, I did not feel alone. The future was still unknown, but it felt open in a warm way. And for the first time, it felt like a beginning, not a deal. Thank you for listening to this story. If you enjoyed this story, please like the video and subscribe to English Medium Stories. Stay with us for more classic stories in easy English.